Hello, so today we are going to be sharing Shrina's case study, and she struggled with her PCOS. She thought it would control her life, but working together, she lost over 17 kilos, she reclaimed her body, hormones, and felt a whole lot more confident. So, first of all, just going to reintroduce who I am. And as you hopefully know, my name is Dr. Cheetah Davda. So, I'm a women's online health coach specializing in PCOS, hormones, fertility. When it comes to hormones, that also means things like thyroid. It can also mean things like menopause, perimenopause. And over the years, I've worked with lots of endocrinologists, doctors, fertility clinics, clinical nutritionists, just in terms of learning the body. And even within our own team, we have got nutritionists, GP, behavior change coach, personal trainers, and a whole lot more. So we've coached over 500 ladies to lose weight, to help them get pregnant naturally or via IVF, manage their hormones, and basically feel empowered. And as a dentist, as you know, I have like a keen passion to help as many women as possible, especially not to fall for the rubbish that you can see on social media. Just because I fell for it all, I went gluten-free, dairy-free, doing lots of cardio, no cardio, supplements. I basically just kept getting fatter, and I had personal trainers, coaches, you name it, and just nothing was personalized, so it never worked for me. So the reason within our coaching, within our team, we basically have come up with the freedom formula just to make sure that every single person who goes through the process by following the phases will ultimately become the happiest, healthiest, most confident version of themselves without any fads, without any restrictions, and be able to maintain it for life. So we are going to go back to Shrina. So if we think about where she started, just a little bit of background on her. So she's 28 years old, got married a few years ago, an accountant, and clothing size wise, she was around a size 12 top and bottom, but her goal was just to get back into a size 8. She had so many clothes that were size 8, and what happened is when she got diagnosed with PCOS, her weight basically started creeping up. So she started going to the gym, she was going 2 or 3 times a week, she was also walking, but she just wasn't seeing any changes. And she was really blaming her PCOS for the lack of progress, and she didn't even have regular periods. Also, because she got married a few years ago, her and her husband were thinking about having children. So we also needed to be aware that if her periods aren't monthly, it's going to be really hard to be able to have kids. So we really needed to also work on the fertility side of things as well. So her goals were basically to lose weight, to feel really confident in herself, to get a better relationship with food, and to fit into size 8 clothes again, because she had a whole wardrobe that she just hadn't been able to get into, and she started at a size 12. So she wanted to feel fitter physically, and feel physically great, and feel comfortable in her body and in her clothes. And obviously being vegetarian, not eating eggs, she was really worried about how to kind of manage this. And she was so desperate that she also started taking myo-inositol, berberine, magnesium. She was literally trying to do anything possible, and her body was just not shifting. So she was really holding that body fat around the stomach area and struggling to shift it. So what we basically did was, first of all, we kind of just laid out how we coach. So one of the main things is to, number one, have like a really, really open and honest relationship. Anyone that we work with, if they're not going to be open about what's going on, it's going to be really hard to coach. And Shrina knew this. She'd seen so many, amazing stories on social media. She wanted to be the next person with that amazing progress. So, we said we've got to be open, always say what's going on, anything you're struggling with, anything that you need help with. And what really kind of gave me goosebumps was after our call together, she basically sent an email saying, for the first time, I feel like I've got hope. So what we did, we started on phase 1 of our coaching, which is believe. So if you don't believe it's going to work, it's not going to work. So we really have to work on the mindset side of things. And then we started to drip feed the information about nutrition. So instead of any restrictive dieting or eliminating any favorite foods, we really focused on like balance and sustainability. So making sure that she can really keep her progress long term. Instead of seeing as food as like calories and macros, we basically saw food as fuel for her body, and learning about what foods actually work for PCOS, what foods can really make it worse. So she really actually geeked out in our education portal that we have in our community. We have a whole PCOS module, And every day she was watching one video and then asking questions about it and then learning about how we were applying that to her body. She didn't just want to be told what to do and get on with it, because that's not our approach anyway, but she wanted to learn about what our methodology was and why that's going to work for her body. So before we worked together, she would typically have like a sandwich and crisps for lunch, leftovers from dinner for lunch, and then weekends she was just eating out, thinking she'd been pretty good in the week, so then she could just eat and drink whatever she wanted on the weekend. So what we did was basically made sure we had a protocol in place for all of her social situations. So she'd send over the menus across, we'd go through them with enough notice, and then we'd give feedback on what to eat and why. What we'd also make sure we were doing is actually seeing what Shrina wanted to have first, because I didn't want to actually restrict her from anything, and we also wanted her to really enjoy the process. So she was still able to socialise, so she was still able to go on holiday, but the main thing that we really worked on together was having that open relationship, and she was always in constant communication, both of us were. So she was giving daily updates, she was having that accountability, and then I was doing my bit on giving her feedback, giving her the education, and adjusting and tweaking things as her journey was going on. Then we basically revamped her workouts. So in all honesty, I did say to her she doesn't need to work out, but she'd paid for an annual gym membership when she was trying to lose weight. She also just needed that space just away from work, just away from home life. So it was just her time for her. And what we did was then personalised her workouts, making sure that everything was tailored for her body. So making sure we were losing body fat in the right places. We were also increasing her metabolism correctly. But also every couple of weeks, she was sending across form videos. So her doing the exercise, and then I was able to give feedback on it. And we picked up so many things that actually she thought from having her personal trainer before she was doing correctly, we actually picked up there was lots of things that needed correcting. And then when actually everything was then perfect, we then worked on lifting heavier weights and then really pushing hard in her workout as well. And what was really, really great to see was her amazing change. And obviously this happened every week. We were seeing the adjustments and the changes, but she was constantly updating everything, and she was very excited to do so. So if we look at her photo on the left, this is where she started, and this is where we're at now. So she'd gone from a size 12 to actually a size 8 to 6. And what we really, really honed in were like the social events, because after work, or especially on Thursdays and Fridays, she had socials. Weekends, she had socials. Weekend, she was also going to see her parents, so there was lots of Indian food. And instead of feeling restricted, we just made really smart food choices and drinks. So she was still able to go on holiday, go out with friends, go out with family and have fun. And she wasn't then feeling anxious about her social situations or how to manage eating at her mum's house and things like that. One of the things I really remember her saying is that her dad was so proud of how far she'd come, but he also never saw that she was on a diet, and he was just amazed that she was able to do this, but just by having the right accountability, the right support, the right coach, she was able to get there. So obviously, not only did she lose weight, but she lost body fat. And especially when it comes to your PCOS and managing your hormones and also fertility, losing body fat is actually more important than losing weight. Obviously, if someone is going through an IVF journey, they do look at the BMI, but for health reasons and for body reasons, it's the body fat going down that's the biggest difference. And sadly, with anyone who has PCOS and it's not controlled, you have a higher risk of getting diabetes, a higher risk of getting high cholesterol. So by having the body fat go down, we massively worked on improving her health markers and also increasing her lifespan as well. So as we can see her collarbone a lot more. Obviously, we're keeping Shrina's identity anonymous, but you can see body fat had really come down. You could see like cheekbones coming through. Body fat here has come down massively. She's stronger, leaner, way more energy, way better digestion, increased confidence. Clothes are fitting better than ever. She was also now wearing crop tops. And also, we managed to get her period on a monthly, because when she started, it was every few months. It was also super, super heavy. And by the end of month 2, we were able to get it regular. And then by the end of month 3, we were able to reduce her flow of her period. So all of that made things easier, because then when she was on her period, it actually made no difference to her life. And we were able to still keep seeing amazing changes. So if we look at her side profile, you can see the biggest change around the bust area, around her stomach area, even around her legs. And especially if we have a look at her back, you can see there was a spillage of body fat here. All of that has massively trimmed down. She's so much slimmer and leaner. And this was where having the right approach, the right guidance. One of the reasons we love giving daily accountability is we can nip things in the bud when we need to. If you have something like a weekly check-in, so much can go wrong in that time, and giving access to us and our community 7 days a week means that she could still be watching the education videos. There were hundreds of recipes that she loved trying, especially being vegetarian. She wanted to make sure she was having the same food as her husband. And then obviously when she went out for meals and when she went on holiday, we made sure we had that structured approach. I'd always say when you're on holiday, you don't need to daily update how things are going, but she just loved having someone to be accountable to. And because she was seeing amazing changes and she was seeing her clothing size go down, she was just very excited just to keep on top of everything, which I absolutely loved. So if we have a look at what she achieved, she lost over 17 kilos in 6 months, which is basically nearly 3 stone. And she also lost 8 inches off her waist, which was amazing to see. So when we look at her journey, you'll see there will be ups and downs, and that's normal. This is while she's been on so many holidays, this is while she's had lots of socials, but because she had that constant support and that accountability, she knew that was part of her journey. So if we saw scale weight go up, we didn't freak out, and as long as we made sure it was coming down, then we were in a good spot. And also when we're maintaining, it can fluctuate even further, and that's completely normal. So she started off at 75 kilos, and bearing in mind throughout this time, we navigated Diwali, we navigated Christmas, and she also had lots of holidays that she went on as well. And then if we look at her waist centimetres, she lost over 21 centimetres, which is over 8 inches off her waist, and that was in over 5 months. So again, we can see everything come up and down, but ultimately we see that the downward trend. So what can sometimes happen is someone can stress if it goes up a bit, people can want to give up in their journey, but that's why constantly having us there for her support, working on her mindset, working through the phases of, yes, okay, you believe you can do it, but now we need to build on your habits. Now we need to build on those habits consistently, and also knowing how to manage eating out. So when she was eating out, we were still being kept updated with food photos. She was still able to drink alcohol. She was still able to enjoy it, and she was having around 7 meals out a week. So what was happening was Thursday, Friday after work, sometimes Thursday work for lunch they went out, Saturday, Sunday she was going out as well. So we needed to make sure that everything was being ticked off really well. And then also, because we could see from food photos how things were going, I was then able to give feedback and then give adjustments and advice as needed. So then she was still able to see the changes, and she really enjoyed it all as well. And then in her journey, she's been on 6 holidays. So 2 were longer ones that were around 10 days or so. Some were Christmas markets, and then she also had 3 work trips as well. So that meant she had to go traveling to different bits of Europe, and then we also managed that as well. Again, a lot of the time people think, oh, I'm going on holiday, I don't need to be coached. But actually, they're the times where it's super important, because if we can get you through weddings, if we can get you through holidays, then we know we're truly making this a lifestyle, and you know exactly how to do this long run. So we made sure that she enjoyed eating out, she was still able to stay accountable, and then she was still supported throughout her journey as well. And then, as we mentioned, we really worked on those daily habits. And what I love about the app that we have is we can basically see how things are going. So every day, everything gets ticked off. If it's not ticked off, it's absolutely fine. There's never any judgment, but then it helps us see what we're doing really well on, what we're really struggling with, and what are the adjustments that we need to make. And throughout her journey, certain targets changed, her workouts changed, water targets changed and things like that. But because we had that close contact, it allowed me to make the right changes at the right time. And it wasn't Shri being like, okay, what happens next? What's going on? I was always 3 steps ahead, and we were making sure the changes were happening at the right time. But this could only happen from her, number 1, being consistent, and number 2, from her updating us, from communicating daily, and just telling us what was going on. So it was really, really important to have that great open relationship together, and then making sure that we can then learn to maintain in the long run, because that's ultimately the goal, is to make sure we can maintain for life, so that no one has to be reliant on us. But what she's now on is on our maintenance program, which means that she's still part of the community, so she can still access all the live webinars that we have. She loves watching back the personal stylist webinars, because similar to me, she's really into her clothes, And then when the time is right, we're going to go into the normal level of coaching again, just to really work on the fertility side of things if we need to, and then also be working on performance goals as well. But for now, we've kind of dropped down so she doesn't need as much hand holding, and then she knows that I'm still there as needed. So it's really, really important to make sure that she never goes backwards. And with her workouts, as we mentioned, everything was personalised for her. She wanted to still work out on holiday, so we kept them short and sweet. We also tracked her period in that section as well. So that allowed us to know when her period was. That allowed me to know, okay, what's Shrina's body going through in this moment. And then it just made sure that everything was tailored and personalised for her, and then for her journey as well. And we also always really celebrated big wins, which is always the biggest part. So the fact that she was then fitting into size 8, and even actually size 6 by Christmas time, was amazing. She was definitely feeling really confident. She loved the new workout, so she could really feel the changes. She was sending me form videos to make sure things were being reviewed. We had that back and forth conversation. None of her clothes were fitting, because literally all her clothes were then too big, so then she always had to go shopping. And it was really nice to have that moment with her sister to go shopping together as well. And then also then her period was just then on a monthly, and then we reduced the heavy flow afterwards as well. So the key takeaways from us and how we coach in the journey is, first of all, going through the phase of believing you can do it, knowing that there are going to be no quick fixes, but you do have to trust the process, and you do have to trust the journey. There's a reason we work super hard in the background, and there's a reason we work every day checking in on how things are going, and it's to try and make your journey a lot easier. When it comes to food, we've got over 200 recipes. When it comes to working on your mindset, learning how not to finish food off your plate, learning how not to give into peer pressure, they're all things that we can guide you on. And also when it comes to emotional eating, or when life gets really tough, we go through that process. Shrina won't mind me saying, there was a moment where her dad was really unwell and was in hospital, but we still managed that time together, and we still made sure she didn't undo any of her hard work. We just focused on the things that she needed to focus on, and we forgot about the things that just weren't important. We made sure we had a really, really solid plan for the week. I knew exactly when she was traveling. I always knew what her food was planned, and if anything changed, then we also went through that together. She also stopped taking supplements because I educated her they were not needed, and she saved a fortune on stopping those. And we really, really worked on the mindset, but she also actively used the education portal that we had in the community. So watching those videos, learning about PCOS, then coming back and forth and having that constant conversation together. And obviously like vibing really well together. Like we built that rapport, and that's what we really thrive off, is that we actually end up being friends with everyone that we work with. And it's just so exciting when we know all the things that we're able to work on, like removing limiting beliefs, working on your mindset, knowing how to do the right workout for you, having every single thing tailored for you, and knowing you're not left alone. Like there's never any judgment, and we're here to guide you every step of the way. And if it's not me, it's going to be our team members that we've got. We've got, Lindsay, who's an amazing accountability coach. We've got Jen, who's our behaviour change coach. We've got so many people in the background who are doing everything to help you. And that's why it's like so great to use the community, to attend the live sessions if you can. If you can't, watch back the recordings. We all have enough time in the day to be able to do it. We just want to use it in the right way. And ultimately, if we're using that time to become the best version of ourselves, we're happier, we're healthier, we're confident. It's a no-brainer, especially when other people notice it, when you get compliments from other people, and you just feel amazing. The next time you go shopping, you never have to stress about what size to wear, not stressing about what outfit's going to fit you or look right on you. It's just amazing just to see how much lighter you can feel mentally as well as physically. And I just wanted to share this case study just to show you how the process works, how we look at everything in so much detail, and all the right tweaks and adjustments are always made. You never need to ask about what's happening next. We're always watching everything. We're always looking at everything in the background and making sure that we're going to get you to your goal in the right way. But it works as a team. You have to communicate with us. You have to let us know what you're thinking. You have to let us know what's going on. And then we'll do our bit of showing you how your progress is going, showing you what's working really well, saying what we need to really work better on. And then that's how we work together in our coaching relationship. And then that's how we get our amazing progress and results.